Hey, before we get on to the normal business of Inside Star Citizen this week, we wanted to take a moment and recognize and acknowledge what's currently happening with the live gameplay experience. Obviously, anyone that's been following the project for any period of time knows that running a live gameplay environment throughout the process of development is an unusual, sometimes trying, but often rewarding experience. But it's not just the tremendous work of our developers that make this possible. It's also the continuing commitment of you, our players, that allow us to test things at scale. Because it's often easy to forget that with the hype and excitement of a new release, that every level of Star Citizen is a development and testing platform, even the live alpha. Now, even knowing that the launch of Alpha 3.18 was going to be rougher than normal, I think it's fair and safe to say that we were all hoping for a somewhat smoother experience than the one that you have been finding the last week. Now, while I'm going to continue pointing you to the amazing efforts of our platform team, the player experience team, and especially the community team in updating you on the continuing progress through the website and socials, because, quite frankly, they're far more plugged into those things than I am and will have much better information than I ever will. We did feel it was important to acknowledge the current state of things at the top of this show, whose story was set weeks and months before. I said it on SCL, and I'll say it again here. We don't just share in the victories with each and every one of you. We're often right there with you with the same thoughts and the same feelings about our disappointments. We're sorry for the rough launch, but I hope you can see the determination and the dedication of those people working to improve things in the improvements that are being made each and every day this week, and will continue until we get things where we want them to be. So with that said, let's get started with this week's show. Since the launch of the Persistent Universe in December 2015, mission gameplay has been at the center of the Star Citizen experience, whether that's doing someone a favor and investigating a few ICC probes, delivering an important package from one planet to the next, or infiltrating a gang of would-be ne'er-do-wells in efforts to keep Stanton safe. Missions often push players forward into areas they might not otherwise have discovered and pull them deep into the scandalous underbelly of the star system. And over the years, through the work of the mission feature team, missions have continued to evolve into a modular system that allows for designers anywhere in any studio to create missions not in the weeks and months of 2015, but in the mere days of 2023. So on this week's Inside Star Citizen, let's learn a bit more about how that modular system works, the technical complexities that make it possible, and take a peek at some of the new modules currently in development for Alpha 3.19 and beyond. Go ahead, you can do it.
I can do it?
Missions matter. No, missions modules. Elliot Maltby.
Mission modules, you're at scene 5.
Mission modules, Lars, scene 5.
Okay.
Always wanted to do that.
At the very beginning, the early days, everyone was just coming up with missions, right?
What we used to have to do is have a bespoke mission for every mission we had.
Someone might have built it to act this way, and then another person might have built it to act this way, but in a completely different way.
So one person would start like a delivery mission, would have to write it from beginning to end, and then some other person would write a bounty mission from beginning to end, and then another delivery mission, again, from beginning to end. And the problem with that situation was that everyone wrote their scripts differently.
Each mission, while might have similarities, every bit of logic was different in some way.
We are a game that constantly evolves, that constantly gets updated, so things break sometimes.
We used to get bugs back, which was like, oh, you know, that when we enter the action area for this mission, this happens, but it wouldn't happen on the other one, even though they're functionally doing the same thing.
Everything was built in a different way, and so everything also needed to be fixed individually.
It was a lot of reworking and redoing and over again, and eventually that could not be scaled up anymore.
In a game like Star Citizen, where we really want to populate the entire universe with missions, we can't really do that. We have to come up with a different solution.
We don't need all these people working on all these things all over the place if we can have more of a unified approach towards it.
That's where mission modules come in.
So the answer to this, to fix all of those issues, is a more modular system. This is where we identify key functionality between missions and plug them all together and make it all operate under one module. This means that when we get a bug, it is likely that every other mission will experience this bug and we can fix it. So we have modules and submodules, and there is no end to that. You can keep putting them inside of each other. But on the high level, we have what are called wrapper modules. So some of the different wrapper modules are like delivery missions.
Your typical delivery mission is pick up a box and then deliver the box in another location, which has certain variations.
So we have ones that are called multi-stop, which are essentially, here's 5 boxes, here's the pickup locations, and here's all the drop-off locations. The player can decide in what order they want. There are the linear wrapper module, which is we give you one box and you have to deliver that before we then give you the next box.
Infiltrate and Defend has like various subtypes and different variations that we can use depending on what the mission wants to achieve.
You've got eliminate all missions, or you've got eliminate specific missions, or even an eliminate boss mission where players must neutralize the grunts first, and then afterwards, a boss shows up, and that's the eliminate target.
And those are all the submodules of the Infiltrate and Defend type, and we're still making more. Then there's the bounty hunting modules.
Our bounty missions are quite well known. The most basic version is you accept a contract, it tells you where the bounty is, you travel there and you take it out, which then can be modified in like several variations.
It consists of the synced assassinations. It's the group bounties where you have 3 different bounties at different locations you have to get to and kill. It's the Idris event where you have to go and kill an Idris with potentially multiple people you don't know. And when the ability to capture people comes online, we'll add even more modules to help support this.
So what we're working on now is resource collection missions. That includes salvage and mining missions.
We're even going to be adding classic things like someone wants 40 pieces of wheat and you have to go and find that and bring that back to them. All of these things we're looking into, investigating, hopefully you'll see soon. No Reddit, that's just an example. We're not actually going to collect wheat. So let's dive deeper into submodules and let's use one that looks relatively simple, the delivery module. The delivery module uses a wrapper called the multi-stop delivery. So when that fires, that starts something called the initialized delivery loop. The initialized delivery loop reads parameters that designers give us, say how many boxes they want to be delivered. For this example, let's say 3. So those 3 boxes would start 3 individual round deliveries. Now a round delivery will care and track the progress of a singular box and its journey from point A to point B. So then after that round delivery has booted up and it has all the information, that then goes, right, now I need to start the first part of it, which is the pickup part. So it starts the pick up or drop off module, which then will check what has the designer specified to me. Does the designer care where this is spawned? Do they want it at a locker? Do they want it at an item pod? If they don't, it will choose randomly. So let's say they go, okay, I want it to be picked up from a item pod, which is essentially what you know as a shelf. The item is spawned on a shelf and it sits there waiting. When the player interacts with the item and picks it up, it sends a callback back to the pickup or drop off and say, this item has been retrieved. The pickup or drop off goes, my job's complete, let me tell the round delivery. The round delivery then goes, okay, thank you for that information. I can now start the drop-off process because the box that I had been told to pick up has been picked up. It will then say, I'm going to boot the pick-up or drop-off again, but this time it will specify the drop-off process. Once again, taking into account anything that the designer specified if they want it dropped off in a locker or at a shelving unit again. Say this time it's a locker, then what happens is it will boot up a completely different module of the delivery locker. Then that will send the request to the delivery locker and say, hey, delivery locker, you're going to expect X item from X person. The delivery locker then waits. When you put it in the delivery locker will verify that the item is the one that was actually asked for you to be delivered. And then it will once again send an event back up to the pickup or drop off going, hey, I've got the right item. That'll go, cool, thank you. Send that up to the round delivery. The round delivery will go, well, that's my box gone. I've finished. I'm going to send this up to the initialized delivery loop. The initialized delivery loop goes, that's 1 out of 3 now delivered. It will then repeat this process for the other 2 boxes that can be done in any order. Then when that completes all over together, the initialized delivery loop will go, cool, all of my things have been finished. I'm going to send it up to the multi-stop. The multi-stop will then go, that's my mission over. Complete, you get your money, and it's as simple as that. The reason we set this up like this is because it allows us to quickly plug pieces in. For example, the prison mission had to expand on the delivery system to allow you to pick up from a corpse and drop off to a satellite as a sort of upload function. What this means is we didn't have to create another delivery module to do that specific process. We created 2 ending modules of pick up corpse and upload data. Those live at the end, so after the pickup or drop off has run its course, it would just pick those 2, which means we don't have to add specific functionality to the entire module all over, it only has to be at the end. So I guess you really want to hear about some of the new stuff. So let's talk about salvage modules. The salvage module is currently a singular module, and what we have done is allowed for a bunch of functionality.
The most simple version is you get the contract in your mobi-glass given by a company that has salvage rights. You accept mission in a mobi-glass, and then it's going to give you a piece of salvage, and it says, well, we have a piece of salvage for you, and it's located at this Lagrange point.
The player is shown a location where a shipwreck can be found. So they make their way there, and it could be that another NPC is there salvaging already. Or you could have an illegal variant of the mission where you have to go there and salvage everything quickly before another player that has the contract legally shows up.
But there's going to be a timer on screen of whenever the legal owner of that salvage is going to appear, which can end up in enemies arriving because he calls them in. We've made several submodules that allow to work with it. So the first one is spawn ship waves. So it's going to be a wave-based module that allows the designer to define what the waves are like exactly, and then they show up. And another module that we've been making that we're actually quite proud of is a chicken ship module. And that's a ship that shows up and then is either going to attack you or try to run away, and if you scare it off by either damaging it or taking too long, it's going to try and jump away. And if it does so, then it allows the designer to define what's going to happen then. So the most basic version would be he's going to call in his friends. They come in, and then all of a sudden it's not you and a vulture against another vulture, it's going to be you against a retaliator bomber and 4 arrows, and you're in trouble. Now, the other option is like, okay, if you destroy it, then what happens? So we have the option of like a Carrick arrives because the company is like, well, we haven't heard from Bob in an hour. We're going to send like someone else to do the salvage, but maybe something happened to him. We're going to send something bigger. Or you basically warded off the defenders and you're now safe to salvage at your own leisure.
This kind of modular approach will allow other designers to come up with whatever they want when it comes to building missions. There could be a number of possibilities. It is only limited by their imagination. All of these sort of modifiers and options are there to sort of allow us to create different types of gameplay or different experiences with very little changing of the logic. It's a lot of just changing different properties on what's called a mission record.
Another mission module that we're working on that hasn't been revealed yet is package extraction. So it's a mission where the Ninetales have taken over another Crusader platform, and they have gotten their hands on some highly valuable Crusader prototype ship components. So Crusader really wants them back before they fall into the wrong hands. And as a result, they put out a contract, and many players all around Crusader are tasked with going to that platform and handing it to the Ninetales, essentially getting back the prototype ship components before they can be flown off-world.
One thing we've been playing with is that we hooked it up to the bounty modules that already exist. So we would fire a bounty module where the player goes to a location, they kill a ship, and then we kick off a salvage module, all in one mission. So the player goes there, kills the ship, and then instantly their objectives are like, and now harvest it. And then that's the completion of the mission. So at the moment, mining missions are on pause while we wait for resources from other teams, but in the meantime, we will continue to develop salvage missions, mining missions, and the overall scope of resource collection missions. So, you could hopefully see your wildest imagination of resource collecting missions come true. A reasonable expectation of resource collection missions in the future. So the biggest virtue of this is it allows other designers like Guillaume from Montreal or Sam from the EU locations team to go in and be able to piece together their own custom mission.
We just send them, once a mission module is finished, all the questions that they need to fill in for this.
Their designer can go to Date Fudge, select a mission, modify a few properties that will change the behavior of the mission, whether it's the type of box they're delivering or what enemy they want you to kill. All of these modules are intended to be stitched together in easy ways to be able to create completely new bits of content so that the content expansion can be huge.
And this is really important for when you try to build a game of the scale of Star Citizen.
They could build a mission where you go to a location to do an eliminate all, and as you're arriving there, there's a bounty target in the sky you have to take out first. As you go in and manage to kill them all, they use the item dispenser we use in Jumptown and Korea to spawn an item that when the player picks it up, it then starts a delivery mission.
That's the real win of thinking modularly. So that was a little look behind the scenes of what we do in the mission feature team.
The mission feature team consists of more than just the people you see here. We have a much bigger team that are building these behind the scenes to be able to bring you this new content, these new functionalities, and also help our designers internally to be able to also deliver the same thing.
This is only a fraction of things we have worked on and are working on. Obviously, as more systems come online, we are going to start making more and more modules. Salvage and mining were the most recent ones, and we've worked on those. Crafting is coming soon, so we're going to probably make some modules with that.
And we're going to continue to make more and more mission modules and more things for you to play and enjoy.
Thank you very much for letting us tell you what we do. We're hopefully making everything you like, and yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Inside Star Citizen.
You won't see. I'm not in the next episode.
I'm not in the next episode.
You just said you were. So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that modularity is what allows for the work of one mission to be carried over and utilized in a variety of others. That it allows for the relatively quick construction and iteration of missions by designers from all over the globe. That it is ultimately what is allowing us to currently add gameplay quickly and efficiently to new locations like the underground facilities, building interiors, and even the upcoming pyro system. And that new modules are being created along the way, like the salvage and mining parts of resource collection, as well as the investigations we've discussed previously. And just to touch on Alpha 318 once more, the team continues to tackle the troubles that have plagued launch since Friday, and you'll find continuing updates as needed at the robertsspaceindustries.com website. Now, stability has been steadily returning all week, with more and more people being able to connect in and stay in for longer durations after that. And there's been a number of absolutely critical fixes that only became known and necessary thanks to you all showing up and stressing the ever-loving hell out of the new Entity Streaming Foundation for the Persistent Universe in ways that, frankly, we never could on the PTU. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to all the developers who never appear on camera because, frankly, they're just too busy. It's been a frustrating week for everybody, but I'm also really proud to stand here and represent those who are working so hard to do right by the community and this project. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thank you for watching. Keep an eye on the website for all those Alpha 318 post-launch details, and we'll see you all here next week.
The last time I was in front of a camera, it seemed like really artificial, and it was difficult to talk to the camera. It felt like it was just judging me, whereas with you guys, I feel like I'm more having a conversation. Do you know where mission logic comes from?
No.
Well, the earliest record of logic that we have in our world started with Aristotle, right? He wrote this book that we translate nowadays as The Instrument. And he was preoccupied with stuff like Socrates is mortal. All humans are mortal. Therefore, wait, did I mess that up? I said Socrates is mortal.
No, that's it. You had one chance.